What's up, good people? I am James Barjuda, and this is Shed to Light. Today, we're going to be talking again about just some things that me and my wife are learning, over these past few days, and really talking about maybe is the world just gone super sensitive, or or things just are, I don't know, or we are not allowed to speak directly about things, or I don't know. We're going to watch a video about a tremendous story. It's a positive story of an individual by the name of Rebecca Bender, who was in the life, and that when I say the life, I mean she was a lady of the night, an escort. But at the end of the day, we know her to be an individual, a person. Right? Yeah. We the label, the occupation, just because I'm a trash man or whatever doesn't mean that's who I am. Or yeah. Let's watch the video.
I was born and raised in a small town in Southern Oregon, and I was a good kid in school. I grew up in a normal middle-class family. I got great grades. I was really active in sports, and I even graduated a year early. I was accepted into Oregon State University, and I had my dorm room already assigned, and I was really excited to move up to Corvallis. But that summer I got pregnant by my boyfriend, and I had to make a real tough decision whether I was going to keep my baby and unenroll from university or get an abortion and keep it all a secret. And that was a really tough summer for me. After I had the baby, I had some friends that had gone up to U of O to go to college, and they had an extra room in one of their apartments. It was at that time that I met a boy or a guy who pretended to take interest in me. I really thought he liked me, and we got along really well. He was really funny and charming, and he had a nice car, and he always picked up the tab. He had nice clothes. He told me he was a record producer, that he had a band.
This is our second time watching this video, and just hearing initially what she was kind of going through. And in some ways, she was kind of looking for maybe acceptance or love, even though she came from a loving family. She had just went through a situation where she was pregnant. Mm-hmm. She was really conflicted in if she wanted to continue her life without her child, mm-hmm, or have her child and raise her child. Mm-hmm. So she chose to do, the right thing, and what was best for her is to have her daughter.
What we believe to
be the right thing. Right. So, and then she proceeds to meet this guy that she thinks is nice and everything. So it's just kind of the start of sometimes how you can meet the wrong person, mm-hmm, that's dressed as the right person, in your life.
Right. She says, I think she says, I don't know if she said it already, but she will say,
yes,
that if you grab a little girl by her heart, you grab the mother, or you grab the little girl by the hand,
you grab
the mother by the heart.
Yes.
What do you feel about that?
I get in that terminology that she's using. I'm going to assume that he built a connection with her daughter to get to her. Mm-hmm. And
well, not so much what do you genuinely feel about that? Do you believe that to be true? Do you think that happens?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I do. I think especially when women have kids, and if you are not married to the person that you have the kids with, mm-hmm, or when something happens, or you guys just aren't together anymore, whatever the case, right, is a lot of times when somebody does pursue you, mm-hmm, it's important for most women. It's important for them to accept you and your children, right, and in those cases when they do that, it's a loving gesture, right, for the woman.
Right. We've learned that there's this thing called the Maslow hierarchy of needs. And, if you have to figure out wherever that person is in that hierarchy or whatever to where you can get your in. And for Rebecca, it was her daughter.
Right.
Or to make it seem like you cared for her daughter, because she had this picturesque idea of what, life is supposed to be like. So let's just continue to watch her.
Up in Portland, and that's why he frequently went out of town. There's a saying that says when you take a child by the hand, you take the mother by the heart. And I really think that's what happened for me, because I had this new little girl and this man who showed this desperate attention towards her, like he wanted to really help make this family that I really wanted for my daughter. And he invited me to move in with him after about 6 months of dating, and I was really excited. And I brought him down to Southern Oregon.
What do you think about that? He brought them in after 6 months of dating. Do you think that's too soon? If you are a mother of your child, you are a mother of the child, 3 of them, would you advise your daughters, or would you yourself take your daughter into a house with a man that you didn't even have to finish the statement, right?
No, I wouldn't. Because you have to, with just the way the world is, you have to protect your children, and you want to protect yourself as well.
Right.
And I think at 6 months is really kind of the start of the beginning of you really getting to know somebody. Right. And determining, what the extent of that person's position in your life, especially when it comes to children, because you don't want to have all of those different influences around your children.
Right.
Especially if you have girls.
Especially for the girls.
Yes.
Not to say that this doesn't happen to males.
Right.
But especially for our situation.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that any father and mother would have that same thought processes. You don't want your daughter to be susceptible to some guy's finesse.
Right.
And I think that what is your opinion on how to not let that happen? Like, what does a young girl need to know who she is? What kind of cultivation does she need?
You start that from a young age. Like you put positive affirmations in their thoughts, in their minds, and tell them that they're smart and they're intelligent, and even the littlest thing, like, that's good job, I'm proud of you, I love you, giving them affection, those type of things. And then in addition to that, if you are blessed to have the father in their life, that's a
huge
main
plus, right?
component,
especially
girls.
Right.
So for me, my dad passed away when I was 15. So, that's, prior to that, he wasn't around a lot, and that's, just a whole nother story in itself. But I know that my dad loved me. I know that, when we did have time together, he made me and my sister feel special. He, made us feel like we could do anything.
Right. So would you say that love from your father figure, that male figure in your life, instilled value in you as a little girl?
It did.
So, that's good that if you're a single parent, we understand you're going to be single parent homes out there. The mother, has to sometimes pull double duty of both father and mother, and sometimes the father has to pull both duty of father and a father, and they are going to have to doubly try to instill in that child. But it's always a good thing to have young boys have male influences and the little girls have female influences,
Exactly.
but it also is a good thing for them to have that opposite as well. For
Right.
the little girl should have a male influence in her life as well,
Yes.
to let her know it's not a sexual thing.
Right.
It's not anything like that, but it is to instill in her worth, to let her
Right.
know this is how a man is supposed to treat you.
The saying that your first love is your dad,
Mhm.
and it's not a sexual first love.
Right.
It's just that male presence.
Mhm.
That's your first love.
Right.
You know, and
100%
you
agree.
just and it's important. It's really important. I feel that it's important to have that in your life, because when you have that, I'm trying to see how I can break this down, because that influence, good or bad, with your father or whomever that male figure is, really plays a factor in who you marry,
right,
who you date.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you had a negative
Right.
influence with your father,
Mm-hmm.
then you're looking for something that you felt like you were missing.
Right.
And then if you have that positive, then it shows you, oh, okay, well, my dad was like this, so then maybe I want to seek out those same qualities in whom I'm going to marry or date or whatever the case is.
So, like, if the father is absent, let me see if I'm understanding what you're saying. If the father is absent,
Mm-hmm.
then the young girl is going to grow up searching for that male
Yes.
love, that male affection, and
Yes.
she's just going to keep looking for it until she finds whatever it is.
And then
so she might bump her head, she might
exactly
experience a bunch of hardships, she might, a bunch of things might ain't happen because that male figure wasn't there.
Right.
Whereas a young daughter who maybe did have her father or a male role model in her life, whoever it may be, blood or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
In their life, to show her that she is valuable, that she does have her worth, though it is a good idea to be married. She don't need a man, and that she can wait to where that right one comes, or to where the Lord brings her that right man to come into her life.
Right.
And so she may not have those same hardships and troubles.
Right.
Or, if and then when she does find that right man is going to do whatever it is that her father did. She's going to be looking for that man to do those same things. So if he bought her, $9,000 Louis Vuitton purses and stuff,
then she's, like I said, it could be a good thing and a bad thing.
Right. I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing. All I'm saying is that whatever it is, the father sets the expectation for the daughter.
Yes, exactly.
Is that's what she's going to.
And I think it's the same for males too.
I 100% agree with that. A male needs a mother figure in their life to teach them how to treat a woman. And treat, what is appropriate to do and say around a woman. Because I know my mom, she popped me in my mouth for saying some things that I shouldn't say.
Right.
And then even my stepmom too, she does try to be that motherly type figure in my life. Even when my father remarried, she did try to, do that. Did I allow it? Sometimes, and I bless her heart, and I love her all the same. She's my stepmom.
Right. So that, I think, like I said, it's important on both sides.
Right. So let's go ahead and continue to watch this video, and then at the end we're going to offer some resources as well. If you know anybody going or trying to get out of this turmoil in life, or if they see it as that and they don't want to do it anymore, we know a place that is willing to help and assist, and they are truly 100% client focused. Would you say?
Yes.
To meet my family, and everything seemed fine until we arrived in Las Vegas. He said we were moving there because that was the entertainment capital of the world, and being a record producer and having a band, that's where they were going to get the most gigs and the most jobs, and that's where his job was leading him. So I desperately wanted to go with him, to be with him, and to start this family that he promised me. He pulled up to an escort service, And he said, this is how it works in Vegas. I've spent a lot of money to get you here. I put first and last on an apartment. I filled your fridge up with food. And you're gonna need to earn that money back. And I felt trapped. I felt like, how am I gonna get out of this? And you didn't know if you were gonna live or die. You didn't know what he was gonna do or what he was capable of. And so it was really scary. I can remember just running through the casino thinking, like, these people don't even have a clue what's going on. They're just, cha-ching, cha-ching, Las Vegas, yay! And they're doing all this stuff, and I'm running for my life. I'm running from a man that has forced me into doing things that I didn't want to do. When you have a trafficker that's waiting at home with your child and says, if you don't bring home $1,500, you're going to find your daughter out on the corner. I think I was
So I think that that's one of the most cowardice things that a guy or even a woman could do, because not even just in this situation, when people do use children as leverage.
Right.
And I think that's just,
it's sick.
It's sick. It's cowardice. It shows you have no other recourse. You have no other means of. You're desperate.
Yeah.
That's what that means. That's what I see in my mind. It just makes you the lowest of lowest type person.
Yes.
If you use children as leverage to gain it is what you want. And even in the legal system, they do that too. And I'm just going to be open and honest that that's what they do. It's not. It's. We laugh because we know it to be true.
Yeah.
We know. We just know it to be true. And even in divorce situations, a father might use the child to say, well, we have this kid together, so we could continue to, do the same thing. You my baby mama, so, continue to give me that or whatever.
Right.
Or the mother.
Or if you don't do this, then I'm not going to give you this that you need for the baby or whatever the case is.
Right. And that's cowardice. That's sick. And then the adverse of that is if a mother doesn't really like the father was a good guy. I mean, not maybe he wasn't a good guy to the mother.
Right.
Maybe he wasn't a good guy to the mother, but he was an excellent father. And then you guys break up. The mother uses the child as leverage for the male. Well, if you want to see your child, well, then you have to take me this. You have to go over here, or this and everything else. If you don't want to be good with me, you can't be good with the kids. And that's you're hurting the father, and then vice versa. It can be this happens to both sexes.
Right.
You are hurting the adult, but you're mainly hurting the child because the child needs both of those influence in those lives, in their lives.
Right. And when it comes to, just to add this, when it comes to her particular situation, it's sad because he really got her there on false pretenses. Mm-hmm. He made her feel as though she didn't have any other course of action, like she was stuck. Right. And then on top of that, you tell her, oh, well, if you don't do this, then I'm gonna put your daughter out.
That is
that's
sick.
Crazy.
So on Instagram the other day, we were kind of having a conversation. No, not me and you, but some individuals that we were just having a conversation, myself and other individuals. And the caption was of a pedophile. Mm-hmm. It was a cartoon, but it was a pedophile. The caption is a pedophile with his head being shot off, mm-hmm. And it was by Wills Wardo. The guy. Yes. And then people were just going back and forth in the comments on, is this ethical? What is the ethics behind mm-hmm. pedophilia? What is the ethics behind stuff like this? Mm-hmm. Like should a man who puts a child in harm's way just immediately be shot in the head? Mm-hmm. Or if he's a pedophile, or if a woman is a pedophile, should they immediately get the death penalty? These are questions I'm asking you.
I I do believe I do. I wouldn't. When it comes to the death penalty, I have mixed emotions about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel that when it comes to that type of where you're sexually just perverted when it comes to kids, you need to be locked up somewhere.
Right.
So you definitely need to be locked up somewhere.
What was tossed around in the comments is that okay? Now, what if the individual has a childhood trauma himself or herself, where they were sexually abused as a child, so now their orientation is towards that because that was what they were first introduced to.
First of all, I don't agree that there's how you can't have a sexual orientation towards a child. It's just regardless of whatever happened to you, what you did is still wrong.
Okay.
and you need to pay for that. And then in the course of that, while you're in there, you might want to get some help too for whatever issues you didn't deal with or weren't able to deal with as a child.
Okay, remember that thought. Okay, and then the second one is if they just plain flat have a mental illness and it's not anything having to do with early childhood, trauma. They just plain have a mental illness. What should be done with them?
Okay, so then they need to be put somewhere. Not necessarily if it's known that they have a mental issue and they, determine that and they run all these tests or whatever, then he probably needs to be put somewhere where they can help him, but at the same time, not letting you out.
Amen. All right, so the consensus of the group was for the first one, where it was the person who had childhood trauma. They felt, the people in this forum felt that because they have already experienced that, then they should know the hurts and the pains that it would cause on that child. So therefore, it's premeditated, and they should receive the death penalty.
Okay.
For the person who just plain has a mental illness, they should be locked up for the rest of their life. And somebody said that there's this new thing called chemical castration, where they're just no longer to perform at all. And they were kind of agreeing with that. So it's 50-50, just lock them up for the rest of their life, and the other half saying lock them up for the rest of their life and cut off the balls. And I don't mean to be gruesome and graphic about that, but
that's what it is.
That's what That's what it is. Cutting off your testicles is chemical castration. So what do you think about that?
I kind of feel like in those cases it's like an eye for an eye thing, and so that doesn't really solve anything. Like for me, death penalty or some form of torture doesn't solve the issue because okay, you do this to one person, but that's not going to stop the next person from doing that.
Well, sometimes those things can deter, but I feel like this. I feel like because sex, and this is no way, me, shape, or form justifying pedophilia.
Right.
I'm just simply talking about sex has, in all of its forms, has been around for millennia.
Right.
The Bible says that there's nothing new under the sun. So sex, in any way you can think about it, people been doing it that way forever. So like you said, it's not going to stop the next person, but it may slow it down. It may deter it. It may give cause for pause to know, okay, well, I know I been through this in my life. Why do I want to put it in somebody? And they know if I do this, they are going to say that it was premeditated and I did it on purpose. There is no defense for me.
Right.
I am going to lose my life. Maybe like, well,
they made some people may second guess it. Right. They may second guess the idea.
And then for the mentally ill person, I wouldn't necessarily think chemical castration to be a form of torture, but a form of mercy. because they don't know what they've proven that they don't know what they do with their functionalities.
Right.
So just to go ahead and eliminate that fact, eliminate that from ever happening again, for eliminating from them being able to make the same mistake again, because they just don't have the cognitive ability to understand that rape
is wrong
in any age is wrong. So therefore, take that ability away from them. Mm-hmm. And then there you go.
Yeah.
To give them life.
I can see how that could possibly be an option.
I know. Yeah. I agree with what you said too, 100%. Wholeheartedly too. Because it's just plain and simple. There really is if I don't even know, man. Like if you get it's just like how can you?
Right.
Like,
where's your
what
mindset?
possesses you in your mind?
To want to do that to a child. Anybody that can't defend themselves against you, even, you know what I'm saying? Like, and even if they aren't to the age or whatever where they can defend themselves, it's still wrong. You know, if you are forcing yourself upon somebody and they are still a child, they're still, I don't care if they're 15, 16, that is still child.
Yeah, there's no such thing as consent for a child.
Right.
So if you thinking that some little girl is giving you consent, there's no consent, and you are a detriment to society and your freedom.
Plain out monster.
Your freedom should not be afforded to you.
Right.
Let's watch the rest of this video, so in about a few more minutes, and then we're going to kick around with something else. And as we said, we're going to give out some resources at the end to just try to be a help to our community.
Probably more frightened to go home than I was to be in the room. Because if you got robbed, it was your fault for being stupid. If you got raped, it was your fault for not watching your back. Anything that happened to you was typically your fault, and you incurred more punishment for allowing those things to happen to you. So it made you always walk in fear of your trafficker.
All right. So her story does have a happy ending as well. She ended up writing a book. She does have some faith-based stuff, as my wife was.
She has her own foundation. She speaks, out against human trafficking, prostitution, all those different things. So she was able to overcome, the circumstances that she was put in. So
So one of the other reasons why we wanted to talk about this video is because in this class that we're taking, some individuals, a individual asked a question, and it was, so what is it that you call a higher end person that is, a sex worker? And the clear to the cut answer is an escort, as we just learned in the class and in the video. That is the terminology for them. But what happened?
A few people in the class got offended by the question, and the conclusion that we came to is that they did not really open their ears and that's just the phrase that I'm using to really understand what she was asking. She was not asking, okay, well, what do we call these people? What, like calling them an escort or a prostitute to their faces. No, it wasn't labeling the person. It was really more so asking, okay, so for terminology terms, for paperwork terms, in those cases, what terms would you use? What would you call them? And it just got people in a frenzy, an emotional frenzy in regards to that. And then, they were saying, oh, well, they're human beings. Do you call them? Yeah. And it was just misunderstood. And what we were discussing is that a lot of times nowadays that people get so sensitive and so up in arms about words and giving those words and labels so much power and not looking past that.
Right.
And
we're not really learning anything. We're not coming into any type of resolution, because that lady asked us. I don't mean to call her that lady, because she is deserving of the utmost respect, as is everybody in that group. And I am not trying to be offensive in any type of manner. But the lady who asked the question was not trying to be malicious at all. She wasn't. She was just asking a genuine question on what is the correct terminology for this type of, I'm just going to say, prostitute.
Right.
And to what kind of gets my goat is that, this is what we were taught.
Right.
The terminology in the class, and as it was being taught, nobody was being, I don't know. I'm trying to search for the right words to say. Nobody was being up in arms about it.
Because these are terms that the instructor are using every class. Like, we have this class 3 times a week. And whenever, we're talking about the clients or you advocating for people that are trying to get out of the life, that's another term that's being used for, for somebody that's either they're forcefully being pushed to prostitute, or if they're just doing it themselves.
And what happened was the people only listened up to the point of where they got offended, and for some reason it was this class where they chose to be offended at the question, and it just snowballed from there.
Yes.
And
and nobody was listening to each other.
And what the purpose was is to be the individual never even really got her question answered, and so it was a lost cause. So the thing that me and my wife are trying to kick around, are we just too sensitive today in the world today? Like,
I do. I think so, because if you think back, and the crazy thing is that it's not even that long ago. Like, I'm 41. And when I was in Living Color was early 90s or something. So I was probably 6th or 7th grade. And we'll just use comedians as an example when it comes to that. Like, the jokes and the skits that they did on In Living Color was not to down anybody or make anybody feel less than. If they were jokes, these are things that just trying to find some comedy in things that could be bad. Right. Whether it was the superhero that was handicapped, men on film, those type of things. Right. Now, in this day and age, those type of skits, and some people still do them, but they get so much flack for them. And it's like, okay, well, what is funny? What can be funny? What can we say or not say? Like, everything is so
not to say that the life is anything funny or anything that we should be laughing about. Right. But what we are saying is that, are we oversensitive? And the way the illustration my wife is trying to give is that back in those days, people can make jokes and things about that, and people had tough skin. Right. And we were able to have open and productive conversations with people because people back then weren't so offended by everything. Right. There wasn't such thing as being politically correct, or there wasn't a such thing as cancel culture back then. There was just, you're human, I'm human, let's talk. Right. There was,
and it doesn't take away from the severity of what's happening to these girls and what's, going back to what we were discussing yesterday. It wasn't anything about that, and it wasn't trying to degrade them or make them feel less than anything. Right. And it wasn't trying to take any power away from them. It was just a honest and genuine and a question that should be asked. Right. And then it was just kind of,
that person on there was a social worker, and they were saying all these nice and fluffy things, but the question is, what do you write down on your paper, on your paperwork? on the reports that you hand in to your supervisor.
Right.
What do you call this person's occupation on paper?
Right.
And that was the question that was being asked, but it just never got answered.
No.
So, with all that being said, Rebecca Bender's story does have a positive ending, and if we were to come across anybody that's living in the life or whatever, best be for sure that we're going to love you, that we're going to accept you for who you are. We hope that you even accept us for who we are, because we're not perfect. We're not anybody special.
Right.
We just are living and breathing and walking on the same blue earth that you are.
Right.
And we want nothing but the best for you in your life, and hopefully you would wish that for the same for us.
Yes.
If I was to go on the blade and I was to come to you and I didn't know you, I wouldn't say, "Hey, you lady of the night."
I would ask you.
I'd be like, no. I'd be like, "Hi, my name is Sylvester. What's your name?"
Right.
Sophia. How you doing today, Sophia? I got this referral. I am from such and such a place.
Right.
And I got this referral. Would you like to talk to me? I might have some resources that can assist you in your time of need. Is there anything that I can help you with? And then open up the conversation up from there. If she says, "Oh, well, I've been doing this," you're going to already know.
Right.
But I'm not just going to go straight up to you. Hey.
Prostitute, hey, such and such. Hey. No, it's about building that relationship and getting them, or letting them know that they can trust you.
Right.
And just being honest with them and really just opening up that door for them to have a new life.
Right.
And that's what it
and
is.
we are bringing a little levity to this because we do want people to know, we are a light-hearted couple.
Yeah.
We do like to have fun. We do understand that it is a sensitive subject matter. And that's kind of like why we want to kind of laugh a little bit too.
Right.
Because we can understand, man, there's so many things in the world you can look at that's negative and everything else and just make you want to go away laughing. Make you go away crying.
Right.
This is not what we want to do.
Right.
So the open door is a, what would you call it? Well, let's read it. About the open door. This facility here is what we are taking our classes through.
Yes.
If you are interested in taking a human trafficking class, I'm pretty sure you can call that same number there that is on there and find out details about that.
Mm-hmm.
But that line mainly there is for those who are in crisis and need. I'll try to find another number for somebody who wants to try to take the class that's being taken. But about the open door.
Since 1985, Family Assistance Program has been providing shelter and advocacy services to victims of domestic violence. Through the years, the agency has grown. We now operate shelters, transitioning houses, and offices throughout San Bernardino County. As community needs have been identified, the agency has grown to fill gaps in services. For example, since 2012, we have opened 2 new shelters, 2 new transitional housing programs, a youth drop-in center, and a anti-human trafficking program, the Open Door.
Right on. So if you know of anybody in need of these services, we will leave the link in the description below. We do hope that you were able to get something out of this video. Again, we do understand the severity and the sensitivity of it. We are not poking fun.
No.
We are just trying to be a light.
Yes. And have a conversation and really, just have that conversation.
Right. So with that, I am James Barjuda.
I'm Sophia.
This is Shed Some Light, and we hope to catch you on the next one. Peace.